Okay, let's get started. Welcome to Smart Solutions for the Built Environment, AI for Industry Excellence, a webinar by the New England Chapter of AWI. My name is Rich Bergan. I'm today's presenter, and I'm the president of the New England Chapter of AWI. I am also with Bergan Architectural Woodworking in Middletown, Connecticut. Just a short disclaimer before we get started. The views, information, and opinions expressed in this webinar are solely those of the presenter and do not necessarily represent the views, information, and opinions of the New England Chapter of AWI, the Architectural Woodwork Institute, or Bergan Architectural Woodworking. Neither New England AWI, AWI, nor Bergan Architectural Woodworking have reviewed or approved the content of this webinar, and they make no representation or warranty concerning the accuracy or completeness of any information presented herein. First, I want to thank all of our 2025 members. Our membership spans New England and the surrounding area. We host a number of events throughout the year, both virtual and in person. This is our first program for 2025. Let's review today's agenda. First, we'll hear from our sponsor, Climate. Then I will introduce you to myself and explain my journey with this technology. Then we'll look at the available tools and review some ways to apply these tools to common business challenges and processes. Just like any tool, there are risks, which we will address. As we draw to a close, we'll take stock of the rapid progress the industry has made recently and consider what it means for ourselves, our businesses, our industry, and the world. Finally, we will review simple steps we all can take today to implement some of what we learned in this webinar. So first, let's hear from our gold sponsor, Climate. This is a system that's been in the market for the last few years. It was launched to our industry at the 2024 AWI conference this past fall. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Scott Banda, CEO of Climate.
We'll move to the next slide. We had asked one of your members to join us. Unfortunately, Jake was pulled out and could not attend. But I would recommend anybody that might know Jake, he's down in Connecticut as well with Pursuit Construction. He is more than willing to serve as a reference for what our solution has done for him and his company. So we'll move to the next slide. These are just a few of the companies that we've brought on since launching formally at the AWI conference last fall. Any of these folks would, I'm sure, gladly serve as a reference as well. Just wanted to have a little credibility in there for you. We are across a lot of trades. We're basically, we started our company focused on the flooring sector with very difficult to, install products like cements, vinyl, rubber flooring. We're now into the drywall, and we are working with probably 25 different general contractors across the U.S. We'll move to the next slide. We're up to about 300 clients across the U.S. and Canada with our system, and we hear positive stories all the time of how we're helping people out. In essence, this is a high-level look at what we have. We have mobile desktop software. Very simply, you set up a project in our software. It takes a minute or two. We have sensors that are running on the Verizon cellular network. These do not require Wi-Fi, passwords, or anything like that to set up. I would tell you, if you've worked with other monitoring solutions, this is the easiest one out there. We're working with several of the largest GCs in the US, and they say that to me all the time. It's as simple as scan a QR code and go. We also have the AWI millwork specifications in our database, and basically every hour we are taking temperature, humidity, dew point, and GPS readings, and we're comparing those to the AWI specification in real time. If conditions go out of spec, so this summer when things get very humid or things get very dry, you will get an alert on your phone. Richard, we can move to the next slide. This is what our alerts look like. It comes through very, very cleanly. Very similar to as if you've got a news alert from the New York Times, CNN, whatnot. It will come across with this level of detail. Basically, the name of the project, the section where the sensor is located, and then what's out of spec. It's an AWI conditions problem. It's a high humidity situation, and it will also tell you the percentage that it differs from the specification, whether it's a humidity alert or a temperature alert. You can easily share any of this information by just clicking the share button, and this goes over to your general contractor or whoever your clients may be to help you really communicate the importance of site conditions and to get in there if things are suddenly spiking out of range, so you can prevent things from becoming a problem that you have to obviously go back and deal with a callback or claims investigation. Next slide. Kind of the top 6 things here that we're seeing our clients say on how our system benefits them the most. The first one is basically obviously monitoring in real time to industry specs and standards, reduces travel time to and from the job site to take readings. It avoids the cost of a lost deployment, essentially being told the site is ready, sending people there, and the site is not ready. So you're having that data in advance.
I'm in if you kill yours.
We have the ability to help you obviously maintain warranties. A lot of people will put their general contractor or client on the system, and it eliminates difficult conversations with them because they can see firsthand what those climate conditions are. And then finally, we have a very efficient report generation feature. Within seconds, you can generate reports. Next slide. And we do have photo capture built right in the phone app. Any photo you take, and you can attach a quick note to it and save it in the cloud. Final slide, I believe, is the pricing. Obviously, we can get into more detail on this. It's a subscription. You basically determine which type of software application you want from us. If it's our Lite or our Pro, it's a monthly fee. You can cancel at any time, and then you determine how many sensors you'd like from us, and that determines your monthly rate on the sensors. Most clients start with 2 to 4 and scale up as things go. If you want to scale down, you just return sensors to us. That's all I have right now. Rich, I think I did all right. I kept it under 5 minutes. Well, just 5. So that's awesome. My contact information. Love to hear from you. I know we can help you. We were just at the Energy Conference, and it was spectacular. So that's all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Scott. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support, and really appreciate the quick presentation. I know that's typically like a 30 to 60-minute presentation. So, all right. I would also like to thank our silver sponsors today, Bloom, Boyce Highlands, Highland Hardwoods, and Federated Insurance. So thank you very much for your continued support of the chapter. So as Scott was talking, we had a number of new people join. So hopefully everyone was able to fill out the poll. I'm looking at the results right now. It looks like the majority are saying that rarely you've used AI, so that's good. It helps me kind of pace the presentation.
Rich?
Yes, Mike.
Okay, I just saw the pop-up that the recording has started. I just wanted to suggest recording it.
Yes, it is recording, and wanted to let everybody know that it is recording. So thank you for that. Okay, so as I mentioned before, my name is Rich Bergan. I am the president of the New England chapter this year, and I also work for Bergan Architectural Woodworking in Middletown, Connecticut. So I'm presenting today talking about kind of my personal journey, but also looking at basic applications for AI. So this is how can we use the products that are in the market today to help our business today. I'm not an expert. I'm a practical user. I've been using AI for about a year, but really over the last 3 to 4 months is when I really ramped up my usage. I saw Claude's computer use beta program, which takes over your computer and does things for you. So this was released, I think, in October or November, and that really got me thinking this is something I need to pay attention to. And so got a subscription to Claude and went off on my way. I think it's important to understand that AI is simply another business tool. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to automatically solve every problem for you. And it's, you shouldn't use it as searching for a problem. You should use it against your existing business problems. So these are the tools that we're going to be discussing today: ChatGPT, Copilot, and Claude. So ChatGPT is connected to the internet. I should say that all of these are AI chatbots. They're large language models, LLMs, and they are mostly trained on internet. They are trained on internet data, but ChatGPT and Copilot are using live internet data. Claude has old data. It was last trained on data from April 2024. So if you ask it, who's the president of the United States, it's not going to know. So ChatGPT is connected to the internet. It has voice mode capabilities, so you can talk to it. If you have the mobile app, you can talk to it and it will talk back to you. And basically exactly how you would go through the chatting, it's by voice. And it has custom GPTs for specific tasks. So these are custom agents that you can train to do what you want to do. And we're going to look at versions of that. Copilot uses ChatGPT, and it's different because it has a deep integration with Microsoft 365. So you can get a Copilot license through Microsoft 365, and it will look at your company's data. It'll look at your company's data, your documents, and you can ask it questions against that data and those files. You can also create agents with Copilot, and that's really powerful because you can do things within your company, within the frameworks of your existing company, to create agents to ask it questions about things and then also have it act on your behalf. So that's something that they've recently built out. The good thing about Copilot is if you have a Microsoft account, if you use Microsoft for, say, Microsoft 365 for your email, you can access, I believe they're calling it Copilot 365 now. It's free. It gives you a lot of the capabilities of what you used to have to pay $300 and something a year for, but it's free. Then there's Claude. So Claude is by a company called Anthropic. I think it has an exceptional response quality. It has a very human-like response, and it's a really interesting chatbot to interact with. You can organize things by projects. So similar to agents or custom GPTs, you can load it up with specific documents and create solutions around those documents or the projects that you're working in. And I think that it has pretty good document analysis strengths too, and especially image analysis. I got a grainy photo of an elevator lobby with some wall panels on it, and the client wanted to match that species on another floor. I threw it into Claude. It told me exactly what the species was, and we're off and running. So what is a prompt? So you interact with these AI chatbots by prompts. So you're asking a question, you're telling it to do something. Really think about it like, walking into a deli. You can either say, give me some food, or you can say, I'd like a turkey sandwich on whole wheat bread with lettuce and tomato, no mayo. One of those is going to get a response that you're going to get exactly what you want. And the other, you might get run out of the store or looked at with a blank stare, or prompted for more information. So these chatbots, although they seem magical, they're not. They can't read your mind. They can only do with the information that you give it. So here are some best practices. It's really about clarity, specificity, and context. The more context that you give these things, the better off you'll be. So as you'll see in some of the examples, I usually started off with, I'm an architectural woodworker and this is my problem, or I'm an architectural woodworker, look at this spec. And from that, just from that little bit of context, it will start to build its response and its argument for you. So it's all about context. And if you have a super complex problem, try to break it down into smaller parts. So we're going to look at 3 tiers of practical applications of these AI chatbots. So we have basic, intermediate, and advanced. The basic, we'll look at email composition. You could start a difficult conversation, start a draft, something that you don't really know how to start. You can prompt an AI chatbot, and it'll help you get that draft started. You can respond to a client, matching their tone or de-escalating a situation. You can use it for policy development, business policy development, looking at your employee handbook, looking at your safety plan, looking at any policies that you might need to update or professionalize. This really, for a lot of smaller shops, especially who do not have HR departments or don't have the time to maintain these documents, these tools really, I think, allow you to step up your professionalism to the next level. Some other basic uses are document analysis and image analysis. So let's look at how these 3 different chatbots handle the same prompt. So I asked ChatGPT, Copilot, and Claude the same question. Help me respond professionally to a challenging email from a client who is unhappy with their custom table. Their complaints: color doesn't match their existing furniture, grain pattern isn't what they expected, delivery took 2 weeks longer than quoted. We need to acknowledge their concern, explain wood's natural variations, offer a solution, and maintain the relationship. Our tone should be empathetic but professional. So in each one of these, I just did a quick screen grab of these so you can see what it looks like in real time for these chatbots to respond. I think maybe there are a couple of people who have never used these, so wanted to show what that looks like. And so this is what ChatGPT came back with. Thank you for reaching out and sharing your concerns. We truly appreciate your business and understand how important it is for your new table to align with your expectations. I put in a clarifying question about how, I'm sorry, it wasn't a table that wasn't matching, it was actually cabinets. And so ChatGPT took that information and responded with a more appropriate response based on the new information. So that's ChatGPT. This is Copilot, and I think Copilot's response is pretty similar to ChatGPT's. It uses ChatGPT's technology. The responses can be different, and in general, responses can be different. You can run the same prompt, the same question through these same chatbots and get different answers, slightly different answers, or wildly different answers. I can explain a little bit more as we go on, but so here we go. Copilot had a similar response. Thank you for reaching out and sharing your concerns regarding the custom cabinets. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience, et cetera, et cetera. So these things get you 90% of the way there to responding to a client. So, sometimes you might agonize over this. You might spend 30, 60, 3 hours trying to keep this client happy before you send this email. And these chatbots get you a good way there. Now here's Claude. So the same prompt, and Claude's response, thank you for your detailed feedback about your custom table. I sincerely apologize for the frustration you're experiencing, particularly with the extended delivery timeline. Your concerns about the color match and grain pattern are important to us, and I want to address them thoroughly. So there's a slight difference in the response, and you can kind of see the personality of Claude compared to Copilot and ChatGPT. But all of these are fantastic solutions, right? All right, let's look at document analysis. So here I had it do a takeoff of some drawings. So I'm an architectural woodworker and I want to perform a takeoff of our scope shown in the attached drawings. Could you please identify any scope by room and material type? Could you also provide a quantity takeoff for each linear foot or square foot measurements? If those aren't available, use a count. Do not include project information. Please identify the names and numbers of the rooms. So the project information was about, because I was doing this for a webinar, I didn't want to put anything out there, but you could see how it responds to you appropriately. I've run this through before where I didn't ask it to identify the project, and it gave me all the project information along with the takeoff. So this is obviously not something that you would throw into your Excel spreadsheet and send off to the client, but I think it gives a good idea of where your scope is, or at least a good starting point of where your scope is, what rooms to look into for particular pieces of scope. And I really like how ChatGPT here put it in a table. So I'm just doing ChatGPT and Claude for now because Copilot is very similar to ChatGPT. So let's look at Claude. Claude is doing the same thing, maybe taking a little bit longer. And another difference between these two is Claude has some limitations with the amount of times that you can ping it. It starts to slow down. Its resources don't seem to be as rich as ChatGPT, but it still gives you, I've spent 8 hours on this thing in a day, and it cuts you off a little bit, but it can still keep going. Okay, and then here's Claude's response. I think it may have done a little bit of better job with, length measurements, but it was nice how ChatGPT put it into a table for you, so you could clearly see the rooms, the scope, and have a view of the takeoff in that way, whereas Claude did it this way. I ran the same prompt with Claude before, and it put it into a table. So like I said before, you could run the same prompt through the same chatbot and get different answers. I could follow up right now with this conversation and say, can you put this into a table? I can say, I saw that there's wood base throughout this project. Can you look for it? And the chatbot will look for that wood base too and see where that goes in the project. So again, it's not to the point where you're going to throw a job into this. 15 seconds later, it's going to spit out an estimate that you would feel confident sending to a client. But I think it's a pretty good starting point, in my opinion. Okay, some intermediate applications for this. So the way I was thinking about this is you are taking these chatbots and having longer conversations, more detailed conversations to help you develop systems around your business. So, looking at refining the estimating process, or developing scheduling frameworks, or maybe what's the best way to organize your data? What's the best way to organize your electronic files? it can help you be that data architect. I doubt that there are too many data architects out there in our industry. So this really helps you with that. When we did our poll for when everyone was signing up for this webinar, a lot of people responded that they're looking for an estimating solution. That was the number one. In second place, narrowly, was scheduling. So this is definitely something that can help you with that. So let's look at an example. I took an example of an estimating process. How can we use these systems to help us develop an estimating process? And so I'm just using Claude here, just for the sake of time. And I said, I would like to reimagine the estimating process of our architectural woodworking company. So I'm providing some context about what we do. So Claude knows what industry we're in. That's all I need to say. What are some ways I can incorporate AI to provide more accurate pricing and better service for our clients? We serve the commercial construction market, and we competitively bid all of our work. So Claude's thinking about it, and it comes up with a pretty detailed plan. Project analysis, takeoffs, cost modeling, risk assessment, and it talks about different ways to incorporate AI into a traditional process and maybe help you rethink your process as it is. So then I had a follow-up question. The bottleneck in estimating is at the takeoff, where you perform digitally, and then I provided some more context for it.
They do.
So it went further into the takeoff process, right? And so you can keep on digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Each one of these bullet points essentially can be another conversation, or at least these topics are a further conversation that you can have. You can keep on going deeper and deeper and deeper to refine your process. So it's like having an expert at process development in your office that's readily available whenever you want. I don't think I prompted. Oh, I just let them know that we currently use Bluebeam, and then Claude came back with some options for helping with Bluebeam and how to set things up in the Bluebeam software. So I didn't tell it anything about Bluebeam. It has some knowledge of it and came back with this response. So here are some more advanced implementations of how to use this software. I think about it basically that you are now a coder, a developer, a data architect. So how can you use this new skill to make your existing software and hardware even more powerful and useful for you and your company? So how can you use this to enhance existing software? What software do you have currently that allows for customization through writing code? And what you might have had to have hired a consultant on before, what can you do now? Now, be careful. I'm not telling you just to put anything into this other software. Make sure that you know what you're getting into. But again, I think this gets you a lot further along than you were previously. At the very least, I think it should give you some degree of confidence of what you can do and a little bit more than what you were able to do in the past. So enhancing your existing software, looking at process automation, there are tools out there that allow you to automate your existing processes. They might use code or low code situations. These AI chatbots are great for helping with those situations, especially the low code stuff. And then creating AI agents for answering questions and taking actions. So, an easy example is looking at your employee handbook. So you can put your you can create an agent, a co-pilot agent that looks at your employee handbook, and that agent can help people answer questions against that employee handbook. And you can set it up so it only looks at the handbook, doesn't look at the internet, doesn't look at anything else. So it doesn't pull in information from any place that it shouldn't pull in information from. And then, so the person's chatting along with this bot, with this agent, and then it comes to a tricky question that the agent can't answer, a sensitive question maybe that should be answered by a manager. And so you can train the bot to get in touch with the manager and either pass this person off or send an email or whatever you want to do, but transition the conversation from the agent to a human. And that's something that you can do today with Copilot agents. It's a little tricky to do, and I use AI to help me with those, set up those agents. So let's look at this change order agent. So I want to create an agent that will help me generate change orders faster. I use an Excel spreadsheet to generate change orders, but it can be rather time consuming. Do you think an agent would be a good way to more easily generate change orders? I want to tell it how much material and how many hours it will take. And I want the agent to plug the information into the spreadsheet, print a PDF, and save it in a specific folder. So Claude is thinking. And I've done this before where it will tell you, this actually isn't a problem for an agent. This is a problem for simple automation. And this is what you can look at. These are the products that you can look at, or this is the way to think about solving this problem. You don't need an AI agent for this. You can just do a simple automation. So it'll help you. It's not just going to force you down the AI route. So here we go. It created a prototype for a chatbot for a change order assistant. This doesn't work, as you'll see. I tried to see if it worked. It doesn't work, but it gave you a framework for how to think about creating a change order agent. What are the things that you need to look out for? How should you structure it? And then we get into, how do I implement this? And again, you go deeper and deeper and deeper with this thing, and you can use it to solve your problems little by little. So here it is, writing some sort of code for this change order agent. Move it along here. And so I asked it, could I take the code and plug it into Copilot Studio, which is the system that you use to create these Copilot agents in Microsoft. And so it tells me exactly how to do it. So this is an example of something I did in the past. I wanted to show a more complex interaction. I fed Claude with the code of an automation that I made in Power Automate, and I asked it, how can you optimize this flow? And so it came back with a lot. It took my flow, it showed me, I think that's the current flow structure, and then it showed me how to make it better, how to make it faster. So I think before I optimized this thing, this was like a monster flow that was taking like 30 minutes at times. And this brought it down to like 2 minutes. So here it's working. And I mean, we're not going to go through all this stuff, but I wanted to show you just the complexity that this deals with, and the power, I think, that you have at your fingertips these days. Okay, some important considerations. So privacy and security. These chatbots will potentially handle sensitive information, right? So make sure you have the right guardrails up so your information doesn't find its way into the wrong hands. Just as easily as you can develop code to make your drafting software operate better, a criminal can use it to help hack your system. So things might get even dicier out there. Be aware of information quality. So fact checking and rereading your AI chatbot responses are essential. Don't just take copy and paste blindly and send it off. There have been plenty of situations where people have gotten into serious trouble doing that. Understand the limitations and look out for ways that they might bite you. So when I was planning this webinar, I was using Copilot to help me with the automated emails, and it gave me the wrong date. And so the date of the webinar that a lot of you saw in your calendars initially was 2024, not 2025. So these things hallucinate, and especially when you're looking at a huge block of code and you're not careful about it, you throw it in there and bad things happen. So beware of that. And some implementation challenges. So this is a new skill, so people are going to have to develop the skill, and you're going to have to understand, where people are with their skill development. Don't get dependent of this technology. This is something that I think one can easily depend on. I was thinking about the first time I used GPS 20 something years ago, and I got out of the car and I didn't realize how I got there, how I got to my destination, because I didn't have to think about it anymore. And this is kind of like that, but across multi-facets of your life. And then understand that these systems can be biased. So what you tell it is what it will spit back. So if you tell an estimating AI that you don't want to price solid surface countertops, it's not going to price solid surface countertops. You better make sure that what you tell it is aligned with your goals, your business goals, because it will act in the way that you tell it to act. So the road ahead, I'm going to show you a couple of videos from an executive at ChatGPT and the CEO of Anthropic. But one thing to think about is that AI is rapidly developing right now, and 2025 they say is going to be the year of agents. So these are agents. These are things that will go out and get stuff for you, go out and do things for you across the internet, and and we can use them in our business too to do things for us. Every new generation that comes along of people, they grasp their generation's technology really well, right? And so this next generation already has an AI fluency. That might be scary to some. So I ran across this great article about a 20-something in San Francisco who built a nuclear fuser with using AI. He used Claude. And a couple of things are surprising about that. One is that Claude, one of their big selling points is that they're all about safety and security and humanity. Like that's one of their goals is to create an AI that works for people and doesn't take over the world. And so it was surprising that he used Claude for that, but also that he was able to do it. So he built a nuclear fuser that sat in his living room and powered the computers that ran the different AI GPTs, bots of his housemates. I think there were like 5 people living there. So a little crazy. I mean, he could have blown himself up. And, what does this mean for our industry? What does this AI fluency of the next generation mean for our industry? What does this tool mean for our industry? And I mean, really for the world, right? Too. This is a huge question for the world. It's a huge disruptor. And there are a lot of questions that nobody knows the answers to. So we'll just do a quick video. So think about that, right? So GPT-3 to GPT-4 took, I think, 18 months. And if you've ever played around with GPT-3 and GPT-4, you know the difference between the two. O1 is ChatGPT's newest model. To use that, it costs, I think, $200 a month to use that. So when they first were testing it, it was the millionth best coder. Then when they released it, it was the 1,000th best coder. And then the O3 model is going to be the 175th best coder, against a benchmark. So imagine having, some of the best coders in the world in your company for $200 a month. And this is Dario Amodei from Anthropic. So both of these were last month in Davos. This was right before the DeepSeek reveal, where, which kind of crashed the market and made people think about AI development and it's getting cheaper and all this stuff. But this is a really great one too. So in case you didn't get that, so he's saying in 2 to 3 years, we will have AI systems that are better than almost all humans at almost all tasks in 2 to 3 years. When I heard that, I was floored. And I don't know if you caught his other statement, but he calls it a country of geniuses and a data center. So, I mean, if this plays out the way that they're talking about, it's obviously going to be a huge disruptor for civilization, let alone the woodworking industry. But I think it speaks to the fact that we should probably really pay attention to this and use it as much as we can. So what can we do from here? Start with basic applications. If you haven't used this for your business, then I urge you to do something with it. Start chatting with it open up a free account and start chatting with it, and have it help you out. See what the limitations are, and then go from there. Build gradually on these things, and really stay curious and experimental, because this technology is changing so rapidly. Don't spend time learning every little intricacy of it. Just chat with it and remain open to the change, because, I mean, as you saw, vast differences between, 3 to 4 or 5 months between the models. So things are changing rapidly, and I think it's important that we all see what's happening. So, want to thank everyone for your time today. That's it for my presentation. I'd like to open it up for some Q&A if there is any out there. Hopefully everyone is able to hear those videos. If you have any questions, be happy to answer it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and speak too. It's fine. Okay.
Hey, Rich,
Yeah.
it's Tony. Can you give us an example in your own company where you feel that AI has helped you the most?
So it's helped me definitely. So we use Microsoft Power Platform to help us with automating processes and keeping our data. And so I've used AI to help me write these processes, to improve these automations. And so what might have taken me a week to do now takes me a couple of hours. So it used to be that you write, it's a low code situation. You are, you're doing these steps in this automation process, and you hit roadblocks. And you hit these roadblocks because everything is custom. And so before, I would have to take the error message, go to the internet, see if somebody had a similar error, come back and try to plug it into my custom domain or custom fields or tables or whatever, try to parse out what's the relevant information in the solution and what's not. And then plug it back in and play along with it and see if it helped. AI does that all for you now. You send it the error message, and it'll send you back the response. If you give it, in this instance, if you tell it what the table names are, the column names are, it will plug that into the solution, and it saves. I mean, it saves a ton of time.
That's really interesting. One other question for you.
Yeah.
How far down into your company are AI users? I mean, project managers, estimators, production floor.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm probably the heaviest user, and the others have played around with it a little bit, especially trying to customize our drafting software. And so it's been a little bit of playing around with it. I went to this conference, or this little meetup, in the fall, and it was great. It was on AI in the construction industry, and I think it was a venture capitalist who was there, and he said, you need to go into your company and just have everyone stop for a day, and have them play around with the AI products that are out there. And you might be amazed at what you find. And so kind of doing like a little boot camp, I thought that was a great idea. We haven't done it yet, but But especially, I think in the office, it's probably a lot easier to do. Like, it's tough to do in the shop, or at least I can't envision it. But I thought that was a cool thing that you could do. Any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Hey, this is Margaret Fisher. I wanted to tell you guys that last year, this topic has been coming up more and more at the CSI events, the regional events that we sponsor and we attend. And for a lot of the specifiers, particularly people that are, about my age and older, and I'm 66, there is, programs that they're sitting in the room listening to. And then when you get to question and answer, I'm hearing real fear that some of these people really do believe that AI is going to take over their jobs before they have a chance to retire. And I think that is a little ways away, and they probably will be able to retire. But the thing that, Richard's second last slide here, where it's saying, call to action on what you can do. I think honestly that we are sitting in an amazing time. We are sitting in one of the most remarkable times in the history of the world. And AI isn't just a tool. It's like right now at this time, it's a golden opportunity for you to embrace it, learn something about it as you can go along whenever you have time to do something with that, and make it possible to lead the AI change in your company so that your company can stay pace with everything else that's going to stay in, happening in construction. Why shouldn't you be the person that helps position your company with AI along with all the other construction companies, so your company doesn't feel like you have to be afraid that you're going to be left behind, or everybody's going to, move ahead with processes you don't understand, and it makes you, not a part of the construction world anymore. I mean, that is the real fear that I'm hearing from some specifiers. It doesn't have to be that way. Be the person in your company who takes the time to learn about it, bring that into your business, and help harness the tools so that you can be leading the way. There's nothing preventing anybody from doing that stuff. Wouldn't it be better to, get on the ball with it and move forward rather than, sitting behind and fearing it? Fearing it isn't going to help anybody. We really need to realize that this is here, and what part of it, can we, bring into our company to help us remain competitive.
Well said, Margaret. Thank you.
Yeah, and any specifier you see that's shaking in their boots about this, tell them to relax. Tell them you're with them. You'll help them find your way together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly got the feeling like, any minute now somebody's going to have to go talk this person off the ledge. It was just, it just is, you don't need to get hysterical about this. It's just not, it's not that.
Yeah. And definitely it's something to understand, right? And a skill set to develop and learn and use. Excellent.
Awesome program.
So thank you everybody for joining today. We have some upcoming events at the New England chapter. I want to remind everyone of Skills USA. So please get involved at your local skills chapter. May 9th, we have a factory tour in Albany, factory tour and networking. July 14th is our golf outing at Tedesco Country Club in Marblehead. And then in the fall, we have a webinar on succession planning, where we will hear from somebody who's actually bought a business like our own, and a factory tour of Wright Architectural Millwork in Northampton, Mass. So thank you all again for joining today. Hope you got something out of it. Hope you got something that you can bring back to your company today, tomorrow, and start working on. So if you wouldn't mind just filling out this quick poll, would really appreciate it. And thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Great program.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rich. Great program.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me. Be in touch.
Hey, Scott.
All right.
Thanks, Rich.
What's wrong here? Talk.